Hey guys, welcome to our review of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Episode 6, Udon. And, oh my god, something actually fucking happened in this show. There was something after 6 hours of fucking meandering, plotting, setup, and world building. We see a battle. There's a battle in this episode, and no question, did it have more liveliness than the last? There's no harfoots. Hey, there you go. You always get a thumbs up from me on that one. This episode, it felt the story was a little more focused on Adar, mercifully. My favorite character, by the way. I fucking love Adar. And I was convinced in the god-awful last episode that I just want Adar to win. And in this episode, we get a lot of Adar, and he technically wins. So, first, before we jump in, I just, after episode 5, I completely lost it. I got very angry, and I started exploring more of the lore, diving into it because
you ever want to borrow any books?
Yes, actually, I would like to. But seriously, I was just so mad at the way these show writers are so fucking lazy and depicting everything in such a small scale with all of this teleportation and riding crutches that literally is junior JV league kind of stuff when you have $1 billion franchise. It's fucking crazy. So let me go over a few of the points that I made post episode 5. This is still angry with episode 5 before we get into episode 6. What a great story that was, episode 5, right? The boys who got kicked off the Sea Guard are now on the Sea Guard. What? So that whole plot line was literally a circle, and they're just doing. Lieutenant. And he's a lieutenant now, is because he cut her blouse. And this episode 5 was season 8 Game of Thrones levels bad. An island nation gets 2 of their 5 ships blown up and doesn't replace it with 2 ships from, I don't know, the rest of their fucking fleet. Why they're even going with 5? I don't know.
It's not like they're bringing the queen with them. They don't need that many people.
They're bringing the queen with them, and they have 500 troops, and now they have 300 troops to battle against an unknown number of orcs. They could have run into 10,000 orcs. They have no idea what they're going into. And they're taking 300 soldiers with the queen. And by the way, I don't want to fucking see a single I fucking knew that they would do this. That every single soldier would be fucking mounted in episode 6, which they are. And I'm like, they showed one horse. Remember that horse being lifted? I was like, hey, look at that cow. And I was like, that's a horse. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I thought they were going to eat the cow. It's a war cow. There's no way all those fucking horses that we saw in this episode fit into those fucking boats. And this kind of lazy ass shit, it just bothers me. Why? It's a digital fucking effect. Duplicate. Let me help you. Copy, duplicate, as they did in Lord of the Rings. You have $1 billion, $437 million. Characters teleport around. Did you notice that after the funny joke that Durin did with the table, those elves are hand carrying the table from the elf city all the way to Khazad-dûm. Khazad-dûm. Do you know how far that is, Joe? And the motherfuckers can't even. They almost dropped it.
They almost dropped it. I saw that. I was like, man.
You think you're going to make it all the way there? I'm only pointing this out because of all of the teleportation in this thing. And all of the. Here, we just need to make this work for this one scene. And then we're going to move on to the next scene. And it doesn't need to make sense. It doesn't need to use logic. The cinematography in that last episode was dull. It was all close-ups. Bad dialogue, like there's a tempest in me, and I can't stop because I cannot stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I like that. It's too slow, too many characters in too many places. Luckily, This episode fixes that. It's not slow, and they goddamn focus on what they should be focusing on. In fact, if you started the fucking series here, I would be a little bit better I would be a little bit higher on the series. But after that last episode, you fucking pissed me off so much that, it lost me. And even this episode is tainted by the bad writing. So we're going to get into that. And we just need to hold these writers accountable. If you have the license of Tolkien, what was the point in spending nearly $500 million to acquire the license of Tolkien if you're really not going to pay respect, homage, or do anything with it that's interesting? You're going to kind of do your own thing, right? It's like little kids playing with their toys and smashing it, but nuh-uh, I didn't die, nuh-uh, that kind of bullshit. Anyways, and then finally, Mithril will save the elves for no reason. What?
Gotta get saturated.
Everybody needs to wrap themselves in Mithril is the big thing, and it's like, why not show us how the stuff saved an elf at some point? So
No. There is no secret Silmaril stuck in a
It's an
tree.
illusion.
We know where they are.
That's so stupid.
There was no fight between a Balrog and an elf over a tree. None of that. They're just making shit like that. Is
Right.
wildly crazy to make
It's
shit
fucking
up.
bullshit is what it is. And in terms of the lore, and it even doesn't make sense if you know nothing about the lore. These two are okay. So finally, the elves, and then we've got the whole arc on Numenor that's like, the elves are going to take her job. They took her jobs. Like, I hate Numenor. And that's why you lost me, because you took a legendary island nation of prototype superhuman men, and you made them fucking the worst.
Well, there's a good thing coming. If you hate Numenor, just you wait, because some good stuff is going to happen.
I hate this Numenor.
I'm rooting for the wave, man.
And, yeah, me too. I'm rooting for Sauron and Morgoth at this point. I don't know. And Galadriel, her arc is don't be a monster while searching for monsters. That's her arc right here. And, but at this point, you've irrevocably broken some of these characters. How are they going to fix this?
You don't.
Galadriel, I fucking hate her. Bronwyn, she's been pushed. She's like a de facto leader
Pushed
for
to
no
front,
apparent
yeah.
reason. The Harfoots, completely pieces of shit. Unlikable characters, terrible people. They're worse than the fucking orcs. At least the orcs are brothers and sisters with each other, and they help each other out. The Harfoots are like, oh, you broke your wheel? Get the fuck out of here. I hope you fucking die.
Well, they're talking about-
we'll sing a song about you once we get to where we need to get.
It was worse than that. Last episode, they're like, let's sabotage their cart and leave them here to die. It's like, what the fuck? Jesus.
And then Isildur, I don't give a shit about his arc. So that was all of my complaints that I still had built up from episode 5. So let's get into episode 6 now. So stuff actually happens. So I can't wait to hear from Alex. Stuff happens. What do you think, Alex, of episode 6?
Well, so because stuff...
You like it now, right?
Well, that's complicated, right? So there was fighting, and there was stuff that happened. And because all of the fighting and explosions were happening, very few people were talking. And anytime people aren't talking, I'm enjoying the show more because they're ruining their characters less. And so I imagine mass audiences are going to like this. Now, the problem is I am cursed with context. And it seems like Amazon has taken fine art, and this is the best that they can do, and this isn't very good. It's like they took Michelangelo's statue of David and they pulverized it into hundreds of white marble butt plugs, and they're like, just shove it up your ass and enjoy it for what it is. But I'm weeping for, I know the art that was destroyed to make this, so I can't just enjoy the
You remember
poop shoot
the
pressure.
picture of Jesus?
Yeah.
And then when that guy corrected the Jesus picture,
all fucked up.
that's
That's what this feels like. And so it's like, yeah, explosions happen, but it's like Galadriel's character got so much. She's talking about torturing prisoners. She was talking about murdering.
I fucking hate Galadriel. She's talking about genocide.
She's talking about genocide. They're trying
I'm going to genocide you.
She's trying to like redeem the orcs as like brothers and sisters. And so like this is something that I knew that they weren't going to be faithful. Now they're doing stuff that specifically Tolkien in his own words said, I hate that I wrote down. He's like, Morgoth cannot twist elves into orcs. Cannot, because it doesn't work for his lore.
No. That is
He
true.
hates that. He literally hates that he wrote it, because it means that orcs are elves, and then when they die, they go to they all go to the same hall where all the elf Valhalla type thing. He doesn't like that. He tried to change it. This would be something.
Because he wrote it and then he tried to change it. There's some conflicting stories on that. But,
yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So this is stuff that he would actively fucking hate. He would hate this TV show. Not just be like, this isn't for me. It's like you are wildly changing these characters. They're pushing lore that he himself did not like. And so I don't fucking know. It's like maybe you're sitting there smiling. You don't have any context, and you're just like, this fucking butt plug is great, but I know where that butt plug came from and what was destroyed to make it. So for me, I am not enjoying the butt plug.
Joe, you don't know about the butt plugs. Do you enjoy the
I don't
butt
want
plug?
a butt plug.
Well, you're getting.
Are you enjoying it? What did you feel like in
Am I
this
enjoying
episode
the
without
series?
the context
No, but
of Tolkien's
this
lore?
episode, yes, I did enjoy this episode because it focused mainly on the characters that we did
Yes.
like, and it sidelined the ones that we didn't.
I can admit, yeah.
With that, I just stuff was actually going on. I liked the battles, I liked the orcs, but
Me too.
at the same time, you're like, this is all you brought. The Numenors didn't seem like a lot. They rode in, and now everyone's dead. Looks like the
they're
kinda shit
extra
bed.
crispy.
yeah.
I don't know if you know anything about volcanoes and pyroclastic flow and fucking eruptions and
Run.
fucking ash and
Run.
fucking smoke, but all of those people are dead.
Yeah.
Galadriel literally, I
can dodge.
fucking hate her character. Of course she's going to stare at the volcano. Like if she stares at the volcano hard enough, maybe it'll shut up.
But there's a tempest in me.
How dare my tempest will quell the fucking volcano. And it fucking engulfs her, and Galadriel is dead. She's fucking dead. There is no way anybody survives fucking getting impacted with that, with fucking temperature. You know how fucking hot that shit gets? We're talking like 800 degrees. No, like 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, they're all fucking dead.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well.
and of course this show, that's just lazy fucking writing and like done for a visual. And granted, it's a nice visual, but when you have such shaky foundation, when you have such wafer-thin characters that you dislike, and when you are butchering a better story in order to tell your own contrived, tropey, modern story within something that is better and has been better is just awful.
I mean,
But I can admit the battle was fun to watch.
I like the battle. I love the whole story. Like even like the whole them trying to redeem the orcs. I don't agree with. But I think that side of the story is at least interesting.
So here's the thing: as a mixed, person with Tolkien, I think this particular change is good, in my opinion. I like Adar. I like the Father of Elves. Because originally I thought that Morgoth, and in one of his tales, he did say that, look, Morgoth was getting bored, at the beginning of the creation, and when they all went to Middle Earth and to the world, he wanted to start creating life, like his creators had created life, but he didn't have the burning flame, the flame in order necessary to do it, so he couldn't create life. So instead, he took what was there and twisted it, the elves, because not only was he kind of jealous of the fact that others created life. What's the main god of the whole universe?
Oh, the head of the Valar. I mean,
Uwe or something like
and
that.
Then one made the dwarves. And,
yeah. So he took one of them and twisted that, and I like that, and I think that's fun. And you got the Morgoth, and so the fact that in this show you have Adar, who seems to be a right-hand man of Sauron, who was tricked by Sauron in order to help him and feed him some of the elves that had gone east in order to be twisted and turned into orcs and things like that. And now he is sorry for that, and he does seem like a separate person from Sauron. At one point, or we'll get into that in a minute. So I just think that's a good change. And if there's one good character in this show, is a sympathetic villain of Adar. And I'm kind of like when Adar was fucking a prisoner and kidnapped, and Galadriel was fucking gonna threaten to torture him and kill his entire race. I was like, you know what? This Adar guy has a fucking point. It's like, hey, you know, we have every right to live and breathe as you do. We have a right to a home, and we were created with the same flame that, you know, you were. And I'm like, yeah, man, let's do I'm on this guy's side, god damn it. It's hilarious that Lord of the Rings of Power has made me root for Sauron and for the dark forces and for Adar. And it's because of the moronic characters. They've made Galadriel a fucking murderous, torturous, genocidal, tyrannical soldier with a single fucking purpose. She's disgusting. And honestly, she reminds me of... like, she's not Galadriel from the books, you know. Absolutely not. She went over there to create her own civilization or create her own. It went to Middle Earth in order to, you know, settle and teach.
She wanted to rule.
Rule and teach and have your own thing. But in this, it's ridiculous. She's acting more like the Sons of Feanor, who and some of the more aggressive ones, the first ones that started kinslaying and killing each other for the elves in their quest against Morgoth. So they're mixing tons of different stories together, and it's like, how do we have such a unlikable protagonist, and we're supposed to side with them? Isildur
like,
and Galadriel. It's like, God, I can't wait till they die. And then Bronwyn, when she got fucking shot by 2 different arrows in this episode, I was like, oh, all right, well, the show has balls to kill a character. All right, cool. Game of Thrones, let's go. Miraculously, she's healed several hours later, even though she's pouring out blood. I guess the seeds grew in her or something. I don't fucking know.
What are you gonna do? I don't like these characters. Yeah, I was rolling my eyes whenever she wrote it.
Okay.
Galadriel was writing in. It's like, oh, who is that? She's doing backflips and doing all this. I was like, oh my god, here it goes.
Like, I get it, Joe.
I get it. She's
That's
supposed
like the
to
one.
be cool.
No. What fucking pisses me off is Galadriel last episode being, hey, there's some soldiers going to fight over there. I'm going to go fucking beat them up and humiliate them just to have a cool scene and show me how cool I am, even though we already had the troll scene that established that. She literally, like, it was pointless. This one, she's in battle, she's doing her moves. It makes more sense to me because she is the commander of the Northern Army. She's been living for 1,000 years, and elves do have more of the light and power in them to where they're super soldiers, essentially. So when she's in the battle doing it, doesn't quite bother me. It's when she's just a piece of shit. Anyways... So let's get in. So we have a bait and switch with the siege that makes no sense. So all the humans go to a defensible position because it's like, we gotta go.
I told you.
And
Yeah,
do
I figured
this.
that was gonna happen.
And then the elves, or we gotta go there. And then the orcs show up, and they're all like in single file approaching. And Adar's out in front. I'm like, he's gonna get killed. He's out in front, and there's going to be a lot of dead orcs as they approach in single file. But it's because the Adar and the orcs read the script, and they knew that there was nobody in the fortress anyway. So they're just like, hey, we're out in the front. Whoa, nobody's home. And they all pour in there looking for the humans. And it was so clever because Arendir is hiding with some flame behind, and then he shoots a few orcs, and they go after him. And then he, I don't know, shoots some scaffolding that's holding the tower up, and the tower collapses and kills the orcs. So the humans go to a fortress, and then just to abandon the fortress to go to a village that they say is, we have the advantage here. We have superior defenses. I'm like, no, you have superior defenses. But okay, I'll give it to you because it's like, okay, they abandoned the fortress in order to have, or what they thought is, completely obliterate the orc army. So it's just very convenient that the orcs were all I don't know
Pushed in.
the
Everyone gather
geography.
in.
Yeah, the geography's weird. It's like I get the fucking courtyard, right? That makes sense. But you can't fit that many orcs in the courtyard. But yet the show shows the tower falling in the courtyard and then falling on the side of the cliff, and yet and I think there's rows of orcs going up side of the cliff. So it takes out, I suppose, half of his forces. So that's why they abandon the fortress in order to have your enemy. And they go to a random village and they start setting up for battle, right? And then we get the 3 Numenorian shit. Well, before we go into the fucking breakdown, let's just review the episode. So we've already said the battle's better. There's less talking. There's more action. It's focusing on one story instead of multiple stories across the land. No harfoots. Some impressive CGI and visuals. But then, like, my understanding of Mount Doom was that Morgoth had created Mount Doom or had helped shape the land, and that volcano was already there. So like the fact that there's dormant. The fact that there's an on switch for Mordor. Well, if it's dormant, why didn't Morgoth go, okay, well, my children need to be away from the sun because suddenly they're vampires, so I'm going to,
because he's a dead.
Make sure the volcano explodes on its own or whatever with my magic, or I'll just pour some water in there. Why didn't he think of it? Whatever. Anyways, let's go
into it.
Let's go with final verdict.
Alex, go ahead.
I think that even as generic fantasy, that this wasn't very good. It was a MacGuffin-filled convenience ridiculous fest. We've got the MacGuffin thing was totally useless and a waste of time. This whole stupid fucking sword, all it does is open up a dam made out of rocks. They have trolls, they've got orcs, they've got metal pikes. They can destroy a dam super fucking easily. They don't need the sword, so it's a useless MacGuffin. This is also the most important MacGuffin ever, where he's like you're the commander.
To find it.
Go get that guy. He's got it. And then they pick it up, and they don't even look inside of it. And they're like, it was a ham. It was a ham sandwich. And
Galadriel, I don't believe for a second that Galadriel, with a one mind, let's search for all of his fucking lieutenants and tell me where Sauron is, wouldn't think to open the thing that the guy is running away with.
Yeah, the Numenorians built this whole army on a gut feeling, and they get off the ships and we're like, we need to ride as hard as we can. It's like, do you know is there a battle there? And like, we have no idea. We're just gonna run as hard as we can because
they know exactly where to go because it's written in the fucking script, and all of them have a script in their sacks.
They're going south.
They could even try. I wouldn't even like it, but if they're like, well, we have a planeteer, like we can look in it and be like, oh, I saw the thing and we got to go now, or the eagle told me that we got to go now. But instead, there's like, we know exactly where the fight's going to be. We're going to show up exactly the right time.
Random village. Do you know how many fucking villages there are?
They took over, and so it's just. It's dumb. I mean, the battles were super cool. I love battles. I like the explosions. But everything else within this episode was dumb.
Yeah.
And, again, the whole fucking MacGuffin thing is just fucking useless.
Yes.
So,
again, writing. Writing is very bad. The action choreographers, great job, guys.
Yeah.
Great job. And the VFX guys, great job, guys.
They're setting up some really cool stuff. Did you see when Sauron saved the guy that will eventually kill him? That was really cool. I like that.
Yeah, but first he was going to kill him, and then Galadriel stopped him, and then Galadriel was going to kill him.
Not even.
And then Halbrand stopped him.
No, Halbrand killed the orc that was going to kill Elendil, and Elendil's the one that killed Sauron later. Adar's the one that killed him before, and now he's Halbrand. So they're setting all this stuff up. It's a really cool web of stuff that is fucking stupid. So I don't like this still. I'm going to say it's average. It gets a couple extra points because things happened.
Do you think it's the best episode?
Oh, hands down. No
harfoots,
very little dialogue, best episode.
And battle, yes, best episode. It's so weird. We are trashing it, but at the same time, it's the best episode, and we admit that, and it was entertaining to watch, and I wish it would have just fucking started here. Maybe one episode before this one, and then we're good. So what's your rating?
5.
A 5. Okay, is that the highest you've given so
Probably.
far? I think, see, well, I want to go back and amend my rating for the first episode because I went as high as an 8 because I was hopeful. I was like, okay, I don't think I gave it an 8, but I gave it higher than it should be. This is, in my opinion, the best of it. Joe, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with a 6. I did enjoy the battles. Like everything was like focused on one story. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't all chaotic. Galadriel was kind of sidelined in this episode, and Harfoots were not there. I did like the battles, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm kind of done with this being Lord of the Rings. I'm just gonna treat it as its own thing.
There are no rings.
Yeah, there's no rings, so it's just its own little fantasy thing. Like it was a good watch, but as soon as people started talking, I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? And so many idiotic things, like the MacGuffin thing.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, no one gonna
I
look at it.
wanted it to be a hand sandwich. Like, I really bad. It was just like something stupid in there.
It's like you wouldn't have noticed the difference. This is a fucking axe as opposed to the hand on the fucking sword.
So what did you give it?
6.
Really? I expected higher. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 because I think it's the best. If I have a higher rating at some point in any of the episodes, knock that shit down. This is the highest at 7. This is probably as best as it's ever going to get. This was the big climactic battle. We're at the end of the season. The next 2 episodes, it ain't gonna get any better than this one, in my opinion. And yes, this one will trick people into having small hopes. Okay, all right. It took them 5 episodes to get there. Now we're good. No, because in the past 5 episodes, they proved to you, and even in this episode, the writing is teleportation everywhere, last minute convenience trope, and all this stuff, and MacGuffins that didn't even really matter, and misdirection for misdirection's sake, and mystery boxes for mystery boxes' sake. Even this one proves that what we have ahead of us is not gonna be all that great. Now, if it is, I will cop to it, and I'll fucking say, hey, good fucking job. But I'm thinking the chances of that is very low.
Slim.
Now, maybe you can correct yourself if you haven't filmed the other seasons. Maybe there's hope for season 2, 3, 4, whatever. I don't think I've ever seen a show where they're like, we're doing 5 seasons, and then the first season comes out and it gets a reaction like this. Because when episode 5 came out, even lower channels was like, nah, I'm fucking out. And I'm like, I knew that feeling where I got knocked out was shared by so many others. So I don't know whether this episode is going to get those people back. We'll see. And we'll see with the last remaining episodes, of which there are what?
I can't see lore people being super happy with this episode.
No, and I'm looking forward to watching their videos to see what, because they do discuss a little bit more about the history, like they do the Morgoth and they do the Uruk. We prefer the term Uruk or Uruk, not Orc. That stuff is fascinating. But okay, basically any of the stuff having to do with Adar. 7 out of 10. Let's do the episode breakdown now, where we can figure out where the bad writing is exactly located and how it undercuts some of the story. Hey, welcome to the breakdown. So, like I said, something actually happened. We have that small-scale siege. The elf and the humans trick Adar. He goes in there. First, he gives a speech, rousing speech, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'll fight for you. I'm not fighting for Galadriel or anybody. You're the man. Brothers and sisters, our own home? Fuck yeah, let's do it. And then he plants some seeds because this is an elf tradition. I don't know if that's in the books. I haven't, I'm not going to comb through every fucking book. And then they march off, him stupidly at the front and 2 orcs along the small path. And I'm like, well, you're fucking dead. Nobody's in there. And you knew nobody was in there. So for the the writing's sake. So they go in there, and that's what. And
It
then
was
we
just
have
nice film.
Arendir, yeah. And then I've seen people say, "Oh, Arondir, like he would die. There was no way that he would do all that." It's like, no, I'm gonna give it to him. Legolas could do it. Arondir, fine. He shoots the thing, the tower comes down, eliminates half their force, and the humans on the ground, just in an open field watching, yay! And we got him. And then they're like, don't celebrate too soon. We only have a certain amount of time before they come after us. And then they go to the village, and they're like, we have the advantage now. Why? you're
Because they have their numbers, and
I guess
they're ready this time.
ready this time. Now and then we move to the 3 fucking ships. Like, God, I hate these fucking ships. I think that if you look at the interior of the ship and the model of the ship, and they could have easily just duplicated the ships, but no, each ship can only hold about 10 fucking horses, and so there's 30 horses and 300 soldiers basically, and all the supplies required.
You didn't
to
see they were
hold all
holding
those
each
people.
other. They were all like pairing up.
Yeah, and the bunk beds and everything. I'm like, nah, man, you could have just easily corrected this. This just shows the laziness and it's fine. And people will fill in the blanks. No, man, Lord of the Rings didn't even do that. They would show multiple shit, and it would have logic behind it. So anyways, back at the village, Arondir hits the fucking MacGuffin sword with a crude-ass hammer and says, it is beyond our skill to destroy, because his piece of shit hammer broke.
I got the feeling like he couldn't open the pickle jar. Ain't no one opened this pickle jar, and he puts it away, and it's like, oh, you didn't try very hard, bro.
And
You
he's
didn't
like,
hurt me, boy.
how
Yeah.
did you do
And then I actually think the dumbest thing in this episode is when he's like, I'm going to hide this where no one will find it. Right below him. In the place where they're going to be hiding. He puts it under the floor of the tavern.
Oh,
and he's
that's
like,
right.
no one
It
will
was
ever
his task.
find it.
It's a dumbass.
And it's like
I
you-
guess Theo saw him put it.
Yeah,
right?
it's like you could have buried it. You could have thrown it off a cliff. You could have done anything with it. He's like, I'm going to put
destroyed it right there. The fact that you have it is a fucking amazing thing, and you know it's what they're they're after something. So like, what are you doing? So stupid. Anyways, and other ways to destroy it, I don't know. Fucking throw it in a volcano. You know that there's a volcano back there, but whatever. They have another speech to defend the village. Bronwyn again comes over, and it makes me so angry that a random fucking healer in a village is all of a sudden the leader of the entire Southlands, the de facto leader. It's such a disrespect to like the lore of Tolkien and the living, breathing world, right? That the Southlands have, with multiple cities and multiple leaders and multiple townships, don't have anybody that Bronwyn is just, hey, it's the fucking leader. You know what I mean? Because it's a fucking TV show. And anytime you do that, it breaks immersion. They could have just put it in there where maybe one of the leaders is sick or something like that. And we do see kind of a leader. His name is like fucking Thywil or something like that. I saw it in the subtitles. The guy with the monk cap and the wolf pelt, it seems to be a leader. And she's like, help him first. It's like, who the fuck is this guy? He just shows up out of nowhere, and we're supposed to.
He dies.
He's a great
She's like,
warrior.
no!
And
It's
like,
like,
no,
fuck that guy.
Who the fuck? And everybody's like, oh my god, he's dead. And I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? This shows you the writing. It's like, what are we doing? Why is you have so much money? Why is it feel like half the episode we don't actually see? You know,
Yeah.
like all this stuff happens off screen. Like
We're supposed to care about these characters. It's like,
Isildur's sister,
miss
who's
something?
pissed off that the Numenorians are going away, she gets pissed off out of nowhere. It's all right, whatever. So they have that speech to defend the village. Arondir plants the seeds with her, as Adar did before.
We're going to plant that seed.
We have, he gives her a good
That's
old
another
kiss.
thing I didn't like their
The
chemistry
kiss.
together. It's
Oh,
like,
the
all right,
lack of it?
The lack of it, their chemistry. So it's like, oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
build together. We're gonna make a garden. Me, you.
You and Theo.
Oh, and Theo too. I
And
forgot about
did you
it.
notice Theo's haircut is hiding his ears? Like, are we going to do a stupid reveal in the future that Theo is a half-elf and that they've already consummated and then had, a kid? Is that why his haircut is so goddamn stupid, hiding his ears? I don't know. So they kiss, and he promises they will be together because he makes sure to include Theo.
I promise I will never die. It's like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
That's exactly
and
what I
he
was thinking about.
He
that episode.
totally should have died. It is because for no apparent reason, the massive orc that starts kicking his ass decides, I don't need any weapons.
It was a WWE fight.
Yeah.
You have to let him get up, and then he's like, all right, you got to stay there. Stand right here. I'm going to go run into this rope and run back and go, then you have to fall
I like
over.
the fight. I like the fight, but I just have to point it out that it's like, okay, there's the TV thing, right?
Yeah.
The Numenorians, and I wrote down, the Numenorians know exactly which village is being attacked at the exact time. They have to ride. And just because they show the fucking horses galloping at full speed in slow motion, God, they love their slow motion. Anytime they feel like the episode is losing traction, they'll throw it into slow motion because they got those slow-mo cameras, and they got to use them, man. Got to spend some of that money. But just because the horses are in full gallop does not mean you're going to make it 1,500 miles across from where they're at to the fucking Southland.
The guy said, follow me.
And
All right, I guess he knows where he's going.
do you know it took 3 fucking films for Frodo to travel 11,000 miles, and they travel, I guess you're going to be like, no, Joe, if you really look at the map, there's a little fucking snaky lake that the 3 ships probably could have gone up all the way inland, all the way to the Southlands, and then they only really had to charge for, I don't know, 300 miles. It's like, okay, fine, whatever.
It took him a couple hours because it's daytime over there, it's nighttime.
Right, it
over there.
was it was nighttime over here, and then it was
They're,
daytime.
I
they're
love-
riding in with the sun. They're riding in with the sun. That's why.
I love when this big goofy idiot who's lived his entire life on a fucking island goes, I normally see the sun rise in the ocean, out of the ocean and set on the land. It's like you live on a tiny fucking island. It rises and it sets in the fucking ocean.
Yeah, what are you
goofy
talking about?
fucking idiot.
What the fuck was he talking about?
He's stupid and he's short.
Was
and
it like
I
these
hate him.
platitudes?
He's
and
got
these
scurvy.
fucking bumper stickers.
He's supposed to be 8 feet
This
fucking
doesn't
tall.
make any sense.
And like all these like 3 orcs are fighting him. It's like,
And so you would think that the Numenorians, look, if I'm going to go there, they're like, okay, we have to sell. We urgently need to save the Southlanders, right? Where are they? I mean, they're going to be at the most defensible position. So the Numenorians probably would have rode to the most defensible position, that fortress, the watchtower, because you have Galadriel, who knows about the elf fucking watchtowers and basically fucking prison system or watch system. But they don't go there. They know exactly which fucking village to go to.
yeah,
Right on time.
they had a
too.
cell phone.
Riding teleportation
They use their cell phone.
because they rode really
GPS,
fast.
baby.
Yeah.
They were really.
Hey,
really
where are we
fast.
going so fast? What's in the script? Oh, okay, shut up.
So then we have the battle, and I will give it to them. The battle is fun, and the battle's cool. Bronwyn has something to do in the battle. She lights the fucking thing. Her friend gets her throat slashed. It's not her friend. Bronwyn doesn't give a shit. And so
She
the
didn't-
fucking
I didn't give a shit.
She didn't even hesitation.
She didn't have that.
Whatever.
She lights the thing. The cart rolls up, so a lot of the orcs came into the village, and the orcs are, ha ha! The sons of bitches missed us. The fools missed us, and then another cart rolls out, and so then they're trapped in fire, and then it's a clever plan. I'm like, da-da-da-da. And I will give this series this, especially during the horse chase later on. And this is something I should have said in the review. The music is amazing in this episode. Great music, matches with battle, very well done. Anyway, so they start pumping fucking arrows in there. I like that the fucking orcs, they show off the orcs have some archers as well. But then why attack the village like this? But okay, fine. So they do some orc, and they kill a bunch of
They're
humans.
close range. That's
Yeah.
why.
And I like that they're better trained, but they still lose essentially. And everybody kind of holds up in the town town hall where all the people can't fight. And yeah,
Turns out they weren't mostly orcs
turns
anyway.
out that Adar, and I was like, this is way too easy. You're telling me, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, a bunch of fucking townspeople with fucking
cheating.
pitchforks killed a bunch of orcs? Nah, man. Sure, if we set it up in a way where we get the training montage and you do the clever trap and then you do the arrows, fine. But it was a little too easy, and it was Adar's ruse, and I'm like, yes, I love Adar. It's fucking great. Kill all these humans. And elves. And then it turns out that he used the humans that pledged to him to attack the humans. Even though if you go back and watch it, you could tell that the people walking are walking like elves or orcs. So are you telling me that the orcs are like, walk like this, when you go into the city and change your skin color?
I would have loved to see that part.
Yeah. And you would think that if it's the townspeople who literally lived in that town and is killing their brother and friend, they would be like, hey, I'm not going to hit you so hard. Just go down. But none of that happens. They're literally trying to murder everybody because, I don't know.
Yeah. The problem is it's incredible. It's cool, but it's super stupid because it would
You
be
just can't think about it.
They shouldn't be wearing their helmets anyway because it would be a disadvantage.
Yeah. They could have just said that they had humans from a different region because humans from a different region, they don't give a fuck. They're going to kill you.
Well, it's so much more violent and stuff to be like murdered by someone who abandoned you, and it could have like the defending villagers would have been like, oh, I don't want to kill you because you've been my neighbor for 30 years,
Right,
and then stabbed. And so like
they could show a little bit of that.
That could be
But
cool.
then Bronwyn is hit, and I saw she got hit twice.
I thought she did too.
I thought
Leg
she
and
did
shoulder.
too, but then all of a sudden, she only has one wound. They don't even.
The other
tend
wound
to
was
the other
minor,
It was
so.
minor. No, she got hit and it took her down.
They
and
just
then she got
plucked it
in the shoulder, so I'm like, wow, well, they're gonna take her out because they did that scene. It's like, I love you, and we're gonna live in a garden, and we're gonna be. And like, one of you is dead.
Yeah, you can't
But-
make plans like that.
Can't kill people in this series, Joe. It's not Game of Thrones. So they cauterize her wounds. In a gruesome scene, I like how the blood is flowing out, and they're not shy to show this kind of stuff. So I liked that. Of course, I knew she would be healed instantly, and 5 minutes later, she'd be up and about, hey, and doing a jig, And so, anyways, the Numenorians used all cavalry, even though there was no way for those horses to fit on the ships I wrote. Orcs burst into the tavern before help arrives, and they hold people at knife point, and they're like, give me the MacGuffin, and he's like, I'm not going to give you I'll consider it if you let everybody go, and then he's like, such a little thing, you want to sacrifice these people, and the orcs just start running through. I'm like, damn,
I like that.
I like
No, I
that.
like
There's
that
some
part.
gruesome fucking, and you can see like their faces, and that one lady's like, fuck.
I'm like, tell him,
Thank
fuck.
you. And so Theo goes, all right. When they threatened his mother, he's like, I'll show you where it's at. And then fucking Arendeel's like, no. And he's like, I'm sorry. And so he shows him. So he opens it up. He finds it. It is the actual sword. Just then you hear thunder. Thunder. It's the fucking Numenorians, and they show up to attack. And that's when we get our cool battle scene. And
the only smart guy in the whole show that actually looked inside to make sure the MacGuffin was the MacGuffin.
So yeah, and suddenly the Numenorians know how to fight, even though these volunteer armies.
Not all of them.
You see, he twisted.
One of them doesn't know how to fight. The guy who said that the battle will be over before we even get there, which doesn't make any sense because the enemy is not under attack by anybody but your forces when you get there. Anyways, he's done with it. He almost dies. Luckily, the lieutenant saves him. And we show several scenes of Galadriel doing her, dodging and stuff, which is fine. It works. And Halbrand saves Elendil, and then the queen is showing up on the ridge with her forces overseeing the battle, and she sees that Isildur is kind of antsy, so she's like, you may go, and then so he's like, yay.
Because the stable boy always puts his horse right next to the queen's.
Right.
That's what stable boys do. I don't know if you've ever been to a battle.
That's their position.
Yeah.
Queen, stable boy.
Yeah.
He's important.
Stable boy, my horse just poopied.
He's important to the story. He's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And God damn these writers. So he goes in and saves his father just in time.
No, he doesn't. You think he's going to save his father, which would redeem him, but Halbrand saves him instead.
No, I thought it was saving his father.
No,
He's
Halbrand
like,
saved him.
father!
It looks like he's going
Yeah.
to, but then Halbrand throws the spear through
Oh,
him.
that's
so,
when
So
Halbrand
if
throws the
Halbrand is
spear.
Sauron saves Elendil, who Elendil will kill Sauron later.
Yeah. Well, Sauron kills Elendil.
Yeah, but Elendil kills Sauron. Elendil and Gil-galad kill Sauron.
Yeah. Well, I thought Isildur killed Sauron.
Only in the movies.
Okay. Okay, anyway, so in
That's why I got
Galadriel.
confuses again. Wait, no, wasn't it?
So Elendil's the father, Isildur is the son, and those two we see in the battle at the beginning of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. The father cuts off his fingers.
No, Isildur always cuts off the fingers, but he's dead when Isildur cuts off.
Isildur cuts off the fingers.
Isildur cuts off the fingers, but Sauron's dead when he cuts the fingers off.
Anyways, Galadriel. So they're fighting, and he's like, "Where's the commander?" And he points to the Adar, and he grabs the package, and he makes it known. I got the package over here. I'm gonna leave, and then he fucking leaves, and then
Clever
Galadriel
bastard.
runs him down. I got it because they do. Adar is fucking awesome.
Love
Yeah.
He's got all these great plans because he does. You see a scene where he says, "Hey, I got a job for you," the fucking barkeep.
Yep.
Right? But then he's like, "Yeah, all right." So he's running off, and then Galadriel runs after him. Great music in this scene. I love the horse. And you had to fucking train to get them horses to do this and have the actors do this, and because that shit is dangerous when you're going at full speed. I like it. Everything's going. And then Halbrand sees it, and then he puts a fucking spear in a cool way, and then he runs off, and I'm like, well, there's no way he's gonna catch up.
He watched a lot of the Last Jedi, and he just pulled a rose and then went faster than everyone, or a Reva, and just teleported to the other end.
He actually knew exactly where they would end up. That would be the only way that he could get there before them, because he's actually there already before even though they were running full speed with full
Well, he
speed
wanted
horses.
to get caught
And in fact,
before somebody says it.
in fact, Adar is an elf. He's going full speed. He has a head on Galadriel, but they make a point to show Galadriel whispers into her horse's ear, get some additional horse speed
Said,
because of the connection of elves.
Oh shit!
So you assume that Adar also has nostrils, and you're telling me that Halbrand just shows up out of nowhere, a human on the fucking thing?
Maiar.
That's motherfucking he's not a Maiar as far as we know, but he is Sauron, so he can.
I don't
show
know
you.
where they're gonna take it.
I don't
so.
know. I think I'll tell you where they're taking it. He doesn't know he's Sauron. He is one half. I think this episode spills the beans. I'll put my theory out there right now. Adar, later on in the episode, when he gets captured, he says, I split him. I split him in two. I split him. I killed him. I think he is split. And so Sauron is in two halves or two beings, and when they come together, boom, Sauron comes back. Some sort of dark magic power rebinds it, and he becomes Sauron again.
Oh, there's
So
like two
Halbrand
people running around?
Halbrand is one. No. I don't think there's two Halbrands. I don't know who the other half is. Is it the wizard from the comet with the fucking priestesses?
They get into a trench coat
that They
and they
have
become-
to reform him and get Halbrand and that guy to form into Sauron, and they're both turn evil. I don't know, but there is at least another half. He is split. There's a literal split because that explains like how Halbrand doesn't know who he is. It seems like unless he's just doing it. This motherfucker is like, they better do that goddamn every scene by scene what he was really doing.
I think
and
that's
at this
the real
point, there's so many goddamn scenes that they have to do that with that I think he's just one unknowing half of Sauron that will reform Sauron. Anyways, so they're running him down. Fucking Halbrand trips his horse. He falls off and he's crawling. Man, he's a good actor. I need the sword.
He wouldn't crawl to the MacGuffin.
And he'd stab him in the thing, and then it's like Halbrand is like, "Do you remember me?" And Adar gets a good look at him and says, "No," And so he's not Sauron. He wasn't in Halbrand's form when he split him, and then he died. These two spirit halves, went into Halbrand and another spirit half wherever. Anyways, so Galadriel shows up last second. Nope, as he's about to kill Adar, and he goes, "Oh, okay. I guess I won't kill you." And then so Galadriel talks him down, and then Adar and Galadriel have a scene.
They're gonna fuck. She felt it inside of her.
Adar and Galadriel have a scene, and this is a fucking scene where it's like, for a moment, I was starting to like Galadriel in the battle. She was doing her battle things. I'm like, okay. And then you had to fucking open your mouth, and she's like, I'm gonna fucking torture your orcs. I'm gonna put them out in the sun. I'm gonna who is your master? And I vow to kill every single one of you. I'm like, I fucking hate you so much. And because I'm on Adar's side this whole time, it's like, dude, this guy live and let live thing. Yes, the orcs are evil, and yes, they do attack, but whatever. I just hate her. So he basically tells the story that he is the father of the orcs because when Sauron was, he had some kind of plan to place things back in order, and they even call back to the first episode where she was in the north in the ice and went to his fortress, and he was working on something, trying to work on something. I think this is where maybe... I don't know. Do you know what he was working on? He was trying to make life. And
He was trying to make rings and he couldn't figure it out.
couldn't figure it out. Okay, the rings at that point. And then he was using these elves to twist and to form into fucking orcs now. But I thought Morgoth did that, not Sauron. But okay, Sauron did that, I suppose. And then he just got disillusioned with Sauron. And so that's why we see he gets pissed off every time Sauron is named. So he's like, I killed him. I split him and killed him. And she's like, I don't believe you. You know, and I just agree with the Dar. He's a sympathetic villain. Your kind was made in mockery. She says, it's like, God, she's not only she is genocidal, she's racist. She's Galadriel wants to commit genocide. She will cruelly force him to watch as she tortures his brothers and sisters, and then she attempts to kill him when he says, hey, I'm the Jesus Christ, lady. I guess I'm not the only one being twisted by fucking evil and darkness. And she's like, what'd you say to me? I'm going to kill you because I'm twisted by evil and darkness. And this ties into what they were trying to set up in the last episode that didn't really make sense. Is she's just so single-minded that she's like, you don't know how to attack the darkness until you've touched the darkness or whatever. I don't know what that stupid shit is. You're not fully light until you touch the dark. I don't know. But this is her arc in this show, that she is becoming a monster trying to hunt a monster. And so I guess this plays into that. Halbrand stops her. Mm-hmm. And Adar's like, who are you? Planting the seed. Who the fuck is this guy? And you could see it in his face that he's like kind of thinking about who he could be after, Halbrand doesn't answer him. So he's hiding something. And the show's telling you he's hiding something. So has some kind of connection to Sauron, because in this episode, he becomes the king of the Southlands, king of this particular area.
Well, he's king of 17 extra crispy people in what looks like Borat's village. So, like, he's not much king of much. So
King of 37 townsfolk. Anyways, before that, Halbrand and her sit down on a rock by a creek so that we can have the forced love scene.
Another
Wonderful.
one you don't care about.
Another love we don't care about.
too.
I have a feeling. I felt it too. Oh, we're interrupted by Halbrand. The queen wants you, and he's like, oh, okay, fuck. Will they? Won't they? Crap.
Not working.
I can't stand it. Not only does it not work, but it is a fucking travesty to Tolkien lore if Halbrand does end up Sauron, that Galadriel is somehow seduced by Sauron, or they have a love story, because in the books, Galadriel is one of the only ones that can see through Sauron's fucking bullshit. And here she's just blind because she wants to fuck.
Jeez.
I don't know.
He's so
And
dreamy.
you actually wants to fucking cheat on her husband?
They're not
So
married
she's
yet.
an adulterer as well?
I don't think she's married yet.
Well, but the
Supposed to be.
timeline is so fucking condensed, Alex, that I think that she has that husband that we saw in Lord of the Rings. By now, it should be, because why are the rings not forged? How is fucking Al-Farazon around? Okay, anyways. Halbrand is, so this is when I write down the theory. I think Halbrand is one half of Sauron, because what Adar says, I split him open. I killed Sauron, so his dark energy is released, it goes somewhere, splits, and then it can reform, and then, so it has to tie in with the priestess, maybe, and the stranger, and Halbrand. Or it's just Halbrand, and when he opens his fucking pack. There's beans in it, and he eats the beans and becomes. I don't know what it is. What's in the pack? You remember what the symbol on that pack? I don't know what that is. Anyways, Halbrand accepts that he is the true king of the Southland when Bronwyn asks, "Are you the king that was promised?" "Yes, I am, Aragorn. I mean, Halbrand. Off-brand Aragorn.
Dollar General.
Dollar General. Galadriel gives Arondir the sword package. She never once looked at it. You're telling me she just... I don't believe that for a second.
Feels like an axe. No, it doesn't.
Top hand. No, it's a very small hilt. But
What if it
Theo
was
is-
a banana or something?
Theo is given us his sword back. He needs to give it to the Numenorians and throw it into the sea. But it's not the sword when he opens it up. The barkeep has it. The barkeep. The barkeep is the one that creates Mordor. He's the most important character in Lord of the Rings now. Because he uses the key, which is actually just a dam flooding system.
It opens the faucet of the lake.
Why would you ever want that? Okay, I guess to destroy stuff. But Adar and his orcs were very clever enough to dig trenches so that they can actually use this system in order to pour it into Mount Doom. And when you mix fucking cold water, rushing water into fucking hot magma, you're going to have a fucking explosion, steam explosion,
eruption.
pressure, an eruption. And again, this was fucking cool when shit starts erupting. And but before that, the son wants to be taught by the father. So we have a touch of like all this stuff happens, and then they cut away to the fucking scene where, do you know what the horses do? The horses shut the pacing. That scene needed to become before this. It's the horses know your soul.
Yeah, the horse is going crazy. It's like maybe it senses the fucking volcano.
Exactly. Like
No,
it was.
senses your feelings. It's like, really?
Aaron-
I think it's a fucking volcano.
What's this father's name?
Elendil.
Elendil is like, it's this and that. It's like, it's everything but what you fucking just came out of your mouth. The horse was cut in several places. The horse is freaking out because under him, he feels like this shit is about to go down. There is a pyroclastic flow. There is a volcano. We're all going to die. Let's get the fuck out of here. And he's like, the horse can tell within you are conflicted with your stupid subplot that nobody gives a shit about. Let's get the fuck out of here. Thank God shit explodes around them because it interrupts that scene. And Amazon wants you to think this is a touching scene of son and father. He grabs him and they embrace. And then the volcano erupts. Badass fire. I loved it. Is like, I don't know. I thought Mount Doom was already there. I thought it was an already active volcano. I thought Morgoth already knows this stuff. I do kind of like the cleverness of let us create. So if they're changing it, then it's an all right change in my opinion. Let's create a land for the orcs, and this is how they can travel, and this is why there's such perpetual darkness in Mordor. Fine. But I just thought a lot of that stuff was already there in the lore, so I don't think it matches up what actually happens in the lore. Alex, does this match up?
Nothing in here matches up. No.
Okay. Well, that's easy to say. I think there's a few things that match up, like Galadriel exists,
She exists.
and she's
But this is not.
not the
This is not like. I mean, by name, yes.
Isildur exists. All of the digging had a purpose. It helps ignite the volcano, and then we get this really cool scene of all this fucking magma and hot ash slamming into the people. And
Dante's
one
Peak, man.
One dude just fucking takes it to the face. And why are people running? I see people running like this. It's like, no. Choose a direction away from the volcano.
No, you gotta watch and see where it's going. You're like, oh god.
Okay, maybe that's what they were doing because people were
Now you can
panicking.
dodge.
And
take shelter.
Of course,
Fuck that.
Galadriel is so badass that she doesn't need to move. She pulls one of those scenes where the badass commander in war is like, it's like, what are you doing? She's just staring down the mountain as if she can get the mountain to shut up. I hate her so much. And this episode ended perfectly because they killed Galadriel, and I'm like, wow, dude, that's pretty bold of you.
Bad guys win, all the good guys are dead. I'm in. Let's go.
Bad guy, yeah. Adar actually puts his ear to the ground. He's like, "Oh shit, my plan worked out." The orcs are like, "Hey, fuck yeah," and they're chanting Udur, because it's like the creation of their home. And they actually kill some Numenorians while motherfuckers aren't looking, so they're probably gonna be able to escape with Adar. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And then the pyroclastic flow with temperatures of 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit rush over Galadriel and this really shitty village. And she's still staring. She's probably still eyes wide open in the pyroclastic flow. And she dies. And that is where the series ended. And I'm like, well fucking done, Amazon. I don't think you had the balls in you to tell a story like this, where the bad guys win and then the credits roll, and that's it. This is what they spent all their money on. I think it truly was a waste of money, but a very cool ending. Very cool.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then in the future, we know how things go. The orcs proliferate. They take over the entire Middle Earth, and Sauron wins. He manages to get the One Ring, and
because they were the good guys all along.
They were the good guys all along.
Elves are evil and dicks.
The elves are evil and dicks. They're racist. They're genocidal. They're torturous. They are single-minded. They are despicable. They leave their own. When she's in the, remember when she's like searching, she's like, he's like, Galadriel. This guy falls behind Galadriel, and she's like, "No, we must go on." Why?
Like 5 feet away from you.
5 feet away from you. There's no orcs here or anything. You're just walking forward because fuck. I'm done. What about y'all? Awesome episode. That's
good episode, but it's still not a turning point. We're like, I'm gonna be hyped for next season.
Like,
actually,
yeah.
The next episode is gonna be probably
Harfoots.
It's all harfoots.
It's all harfoots.
As soon as I saw that,
So,
it
we
started
go from
going
the highest
down.
rating to potentially the lowest rating. The next episode has potentially the lowest rating. I don't know. Episode 5 fucking broke everything for me when you basically shit on the Numenorians and that's when I knew this isn't Lord of the Rings. This isn't Lord of the Rings, guys. It's
there are no
not
rings.
Lord of the Rings. There's not even Rings of Power in Rings of Power. So, but it was a sorely needed episode after the worst episode, because like if it didn't immediately do this and give people a little bit of battle and be like, okay, man, this tricks some people into like that could be good.
Yeah, because
it was going. Everybody was going to jump.
Because I thought this episode was going to be like
The
Numenorians just sailing over there and then like preparing for battle. So
because something actually happened. Yeah. Because something happened, I have to admit that this is probably the best episode of the series so far.
that's not saying much.
Right, exactly. And, yeah. So, that's it.
Bye.
Things are not going well,
No.
and I have no hope for the remaining episodes. This is episode 6. How many were there? Do you guys remember? God,
I think it's 8 because I confuse it with She-Hulk. She-Hulk
right.
is 9.
Let me look it up. Fuck it. I got it here. Okay, so it is 8 episodes, Joe.
Yeah.
You're right. This one needed to happen. So there's 2 more episodes left. This one was directed by Charlotte Brandstrom, so she's directing the next one too. And then we end the series on episode 9, directed by Wayne Chi Yip, the guy that directed the worst one, number 5 pairings.
Oof.
So 2 episodes left, guys. We will see you then. Bye, guys.